Aline Scherff, Ludwig-Maximilians-Universität München, Germany.
Autism has a global prevalence of 1%. This sounds very low, but actually that means in Germany alone, this is 800,000 people or more. And part of those people will also be old-aged, of course. Autism was first described in the 1940s, and of course it takes time to train up professionals and to be aware of this condition. So people who are old now would have never been diagnosed probably because it's a childhood developmental disorder. So although it's lifelong, they would have not been diagnosed. So we could say, yeah, we'll just wait for the next generation to come up and be old, and then we'll know about them. But actually, just receiving a diagnosis is not really knowing about it, because signs and symptoms change over a lifespan. Autism is really a complex disorder, and there's many domains to it. And I just want to pick two examples. One is they sometimes have sensory hypersensitivities, such as being very sensitive to touch and hating being touched by strangers. Another trait might be that they have a high need for order. And we can actually, so how do we study autism then if we don't have diagnosis in old age? Well, we can look at it as a quantitative trait in the population. So everyone is somewhere on the spectrum between being totally fine in a chaotic environment or needing strict routines and good order. And the advantage of this is then that it's highly transferable to the extreme cases which would be diagnosed and would be clinical. So how does this apply to old age? Well, we don't really know. But just imagine physically helping an old lady on the bus and she's irritated or even aggressive. And if you knew that maybe she has an autistic trait, you could behave differently. So this is how it applies to all of us. But to professionals, it also applies because geriatric nurses really have no training in interacting with people with autism. So obviously, as more and more autists become older, this is very relevant in a clinical environment. And also, it would be very cost efficient to train nurses and make it more smoothly to transition from independent living to a care environment. Yeah, so what I want to do really is to encourage you to think about or to fund autism research beyond the age of 21 years, which is currently the focus. Thank you.